All right, good afternoon, everyone. We're just going to take a couple of minutes here and wait for everyone to get in here. Just going to wait for the room to fill up with everyone who's going to be attending. Hope everyone's having a great day today. We'll start here in just momentarily. Just waiting for everyone to join. Hope everyone's having a good Thursday. One more day till it's Friday, y'all.
I don't see anyone else coming into the room, so let's go ahead and get started.
All righty, everybody. Well, welcome to the Homeschooling Special Needs Children webinar. Thank you all so much for joining me today. And my name is Hannah, and I'm excited to be here on behalf of Families Helping Families, Region 7, to share my family's experience with homeschooling 3 neurodivergent children. This presentation is all about homeschooling special needs kids, how we make it work, what we've learned, and the resources that helped us along the way. If you're feeling overwhelmed, unsure, or even curious about whether this could work for your family, you're in the right place. I want to show you that homeschooling doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. It just has to be right for your child. All right, so let's get started. All right, here we have the agenda. And today I'll be walking you through several key areas of our homeschooling journey, especially from the perspective of parenting and teaching 3 children with special needs. I'll start with a quick introduction so you guys can get to know me and my family. And then I'll take you through how we got started and what our journey has looked like so far. You'll hear about how we make it work, including the structure of our days and how we adapt based on our kids' needs. We'll talk through the basics of homeschooling, what it really means, the different types, and the pros and cons of each. I'll also cover the specific rules and requirements here in Louisiana, including the homeschool options available and how to figure out which one might be right for your family. You'll get a clear overview of the actual process, how to get started, what steps to take, and what to expect. I'll share what works for us personally, including some of the visual and sensory tools we rely on every day, and how we've customized our approach to meet each child's unique needs. We'll look at some different resources and supports, both online and in person, that can make the homeschool journey more manageable. Plus, I'll also go over a few do's and don'ts I've learned the hard way, plus some encouragement and real talk for the tough days. Towards the end, I'll share a QR code that links to a page full of helpful resources and support group links. And finally, I'll let you know how you can stay in touch with us, and then we'll have time for questions and final thoughts. My hope is that by the end of this presentation, you'll feel more informed, more empowered, and more supported, no matter where you are in your homeschooling journey. All righty. Hi. Hi, everyone. My name's Hannah. I am a homeschooling mom of 3 incredible children, and they are 8, 9, and 10 years old. All 3 of them are autistic and have ADHD, and they each also have their own unique set of medical needs. We have been homeschooling for 2 years now, but our journey didn't start there. Like many families, we began in the public school system, doing our best to make it work. But over time, it became clear that the traditional school setting wasn't meeting their needs, emotionally, academically, and even medically. The decision to pull them out and homeschool wasn't easy. It came with a lot of fear, questions, trial and error, but it absolutely was the right choice for our family. Today, I'll be sharing what that journey looks like, how we made the transition, what works for us now, and some tips and tools I've picked up along the way that might help you too. And I'm still learning all the time, and that's what I hope this presentation shows, not perfection, just possibility. All right, our journey. We didn't start homeschooling because we always planned to. We started because we had to. One of my children was melting down every single day from sensory overload at school. Another was being passed over academically and not getting the support that he needed. And my third was being severely bullied, and nobody at school even seemed to notice. Even the special education staff didn't seem trained on how to prevent or manage overstimulation. The schools were overworked, understaffed, and honestly just not a safe or supportive place for my kids anymore. So we brought them home. And at first, it was overwhelming. But over time, we found our rhythm. Homeschooling gave us space to heal, reset, and reconnect. And eventually, it gave my kids the chance to learn again in a way that made sense for them. All right, homeschooling basics. Homeschooling isn't just about recreating a traditional classroom at home. It's about providing an education that truly fits your child or children at their pace, on their level, and in a way that supports their strengths and needs. For families of special needs children, this can look very different than a typical school setup. It may include therapy sessions woven into the school day, frequent breaks, hands-on learning, sensory tools, or even learning in pajamas on the couch, and that's okay. There's no one-size-fits-all model. Homeschooling gives you the freedom to create a learning environment that feels safe and supportive for your child. You don't have to check every box or follow a rigid schedule. You can adapt lessons based on energy levels, emotional needs, or medical appointments. You can go slower when they're struggling and speed up when they're thriving. At its core, homeschooling is about creating space for your child or children to grow in a way that works for them. All right, homeschooling in Louisiana. In Louisiana, homeschooling families have two main options. First one, a Bessie-approved home study program, which is the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, or second option, non-public school not seeking state approval. I know those are big and long, scary terms, but let's break it down. The main difference lies in the level of state oversight and requirements. Bessie-approved home study programs are more regulated, requiring annual proof of academic standards being met. And while the non-public schools not seeking state approval have fewer restrictions and more autonomy. All right, so what's right for you? Bessie-approved home study program, again, that's the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education. It requires state approval, requires annual proof that the program meets state academic standards. Requirements. It may include demonstrating curriculum, test scores, or certified teachers verification. Now, the benefits of this. Students are considered in compliance with compulsory attendance laws and may be eligible for certain programs or scholarships. And this is the big one for my high school parents. Diplomas carry the same weight as state issued diplomas. All right, let's move on to the next. Which is right for you, part 2. Non-public school not seeking state approval. These families are not required to submit standardized test results annually. However, they are expected to maintain records of their child's education and may be asked to provide assessments or a homeschool portfolio upon request. Very simply, I just got some bins from Walmart and I would just keep records of the physical paper stuff that they did, and that seemed to be sufficient. All right, so how do I start? Louisiana requires public schools to be notified when a student is withdrawn for homeschooling. This is a standard procedure for both the Bessie-approved option and the non-public school option. The notification should include the child's legal name, date of birth, gender, and race, as well as the date of withdrawal and the fact that you will be homeschooling. If you choose the non-public school option, you'll need to register your non-public school with the state and provide annual attendance information. If families have any questions about implementing the non-public school not seeking state approval, you can contact them and email them by homestudy@la.gov. All right, how do I start part 2? If you are planning to begin homeschooling after the school year is complete, you will need to notify the school that your student will not be returning. If your child has never been enrolled in school, this does not apply. whether you are homeschooling under the BESE approved home study program or the registered non-public school not seeking state approval option, at the very least, you will need to keep records of attendance, curriculum, and progress just in case you need them for future reference. If you have chosen the home study program, you will have to send in an annual report. It will be either a core curriculum sample, test scores, or a progress letter from a certified teacher. There are no requirements to send in annual records if you have chosen the non-public school not seeking state approval option. All right, and here we have a lovely chart overview of everything. This slide will give you a step-by-step look at the process of starting homeschooling in Louisiana. Now, step one is going to be to research and decide whether homeschooling is a good fit for your family. That means thinking about your child's needs, your capacity, and whether a home environment can meet their educational and emotional goals. Step two is to choose your homeschool option and notify the state. In Louisiana, again, you have two main choices. Option A is going to be the state-approved home study program, and this is often recommended for families with older children or those planning to re-enter public school or pursue college later. Option B is registering as a non-public school not seeking state approval. This option gives you more flexibility and doesn't require state oversight or testing. Now let's look at the process for each. For option A, select the BESE approved home study program. Then you would submit an application through the Louisiana Department of Education. And then you would provide the names and ages of your students. And then upload a copy or photo of each child's birth certificate. Now let's look at option B. For option B, you would then choose to operate as a non-public school not seeking state approval. And then you would need to give your homeschool a name, and that becomes your private school. And y'all, this can literally be anything. I chose Stormtrooper Academy, so may the force be with y'all. Next step is to submit the number of students enrolled. And finally, last step, number 7, for both options, is to officially withdraw your child from public school. This chart will help break down the steps so it's a little bit less overwhelming, and you can see which path makes the most sense for your family. All right, go to the next one. Types of homeschooling. Let's talk about the types of homeschooling. There is no one right way, just what works for your child and your life. Some families follow a structured model, almost like school at home, with set times, subjects, and curriculum. That works well for kids who thrive on routine. Then there's unschooling, very interest-led, flexible, child-directed. That might sound too loose, but for some kids with high anxiety or executive functioning challenges, it can be very freeing. And the last one is eclectic homeschooling, and it's a blend. Some structure, some freedom. And remember, your style can evolve. You're not locked into anything. All right, go next. Structured or traditional homeschooling. Now, structured homeschooling is the most similar to what you'd see in a traditional classroom. Parents often follow a set curriculum and stick to a consistent daily schedule. This model is helpful for kids who thrive on routine or need clear expectations. It's especially good for kids who get anxious with unpredictability. That said, it can sometimes be too rigid for families managing therapies, medical issues or appointments, or fluctuating energy levels. So it's not a great fit for everyone. Right. Unschooling. Unschooling is very relaxed. Instead of using a set curriculum, parents support their child's learning based on what the child is naturally interested in. So for example, if your child's special interest is airplanes, you might explore science, reading, math, and geography all through that topic. It's especially helpful for children who are burned out, anxious, or sensory sensitive. Unschooling can reduce pressure and help them rediscover a love of learning. But keep in mind, it requires a lot of trust and creativity from the parent. You're guiding more than teaching, and documenting progress can be a bit trickier in that situation. All right, eclectic. Eclectic homeschooling is exactly what it sounds like. It's a blend of different approaches. You might use a structured math curriculum, do interest-led reading projects, and include therapy-based learning activities too. This style works well for some families because it lets you adjust on the fly. Some days you could be very scheduled. Other days, when life throws curveballs, you can focus on emotional regulation, life skills, or sensory play instead. There's no wrong way to do eclectic. It's all about what serves your child best. All right, what works for us? Our homeschooling journey has evolved over time. I'm telling y'all, we have tried it all. After trying different approaches, we recently enrolled our children in Louisiana Virtual Charter Academy, and that is a tuition-free public online school that offers structured support while allowing us to stay home and meet our children's unique needs. This model will work well for our family because it blends the flexibility of home learning with the guidance of certified teachers, gives us access to accommodations and supports that are often harder to secure as fully independent homeschoolers. It reduces the planning and prep load for me, and it helps us maintain important documentation, including valid IEPs, which can be necessary to qualify for certain programs. If you would like more information about LAVCA or LAVCA's special needs services, you can contact Ms. Tara Ferguson. She is the special programs manager. You can scan that QR code below or email her at taferguson@lavirtual.org. All right. Exploring your options. Homeschooling isn't one size fits all. And luckily, there are lots of ways to do it. Full parent-led homeschooling is where you choose or create everything, from curriculum to schedule. Online or hybrid programs are great if you want some structure or outside help. Just be mindful, some aren't flexible enough for special needs families, so always be sure to check if you can adapt deadlines or workload. Therapy-based scheduling is also a very real benefit of homeschooling. You can build your day around occupational therapy, speech therapy, ABA, or medical needs and appointments without your child missing academics. And co-ops. Some are amazing, some not so much. If your child needs a low sensory environment or lots of flexibility, just be cautious. Look for groups that are inclusive and trauma-informed. Right. Connecting experience to strategy. Before we get into specific tools and resources, I want to share a bit about my own background and experience. Understanding where I'm coming from can help explain why I focus so much on certain strategies, especially when it comes to visual supports and sensory resources. I am a 2E or twice exceptional adult, which means I live with both disabilities and exceptional strengths. For me, some of those strengths include data analysis and pattern recognition, which often help me spot patterns in behavior, learning, or needs that others might overlook. I am also autistic, have ADHD, and central auditory processing disorder. And I also live with several chronic health conditions, including dysautonomia, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and lupus. And these are just a few of the diagnoses that shape how I experience the world. Now, living with this combination of neurodivergence and chronic illness has given me a unique lens on homeschooling. It gives me deeper insight into how my children think, how they process information, and how they communicate their needs. It also fuels my commitment to using respectful language, learning from self-advocates, and supporting families in seeing neurodivergence not as something broken, but as a different and valid way of being. This perspective is a big part of how I approach both parenting and education in my home. All right, next slide, visual tools. Going into the fun stuff. Visual schedules and charts can be highly beneficial for children with special needs, especially when homeschooling, as they provide structure and predictability, which can help to reduce anxiety and promote independence. They can help children understand daily routines, ease transitions between activities, and improve communication skills by providing clear expectations. As an added bonus, I laminate our visual schedules and charts so my kids can then use a whiteboard marker and check off a box when it's completed. And it gives them further visual aid and a sense of accomplishment. I know we all love to do checks on a list. All right, so daily visual schedule example for the school year. This is a sample of our detailed visual daily schedule that we used during the previous school year. This breaks down the entire day, minute by minute, from waking up to bedtime, and includes check boxes next to each task or routine. This tool can be especially helpful with children with ADHD, autism, or memory challenges. And one of my daughters uses the check boxes to track what's been completed, helping her stay focused and reducing the anxiety of what's next. Having a predictable, visible routine helps her feel safe, grounded, and more in control of her day. We aren't currently using this exact version, but it was one of our most effective tools last school year. All right, weekly subject schedule wall chart. This is a weekly subject schedule that we used last year before switching to a virtual school format. I printed and laminated it, and I hung it up on the wall for easy visibility. This one is organized by day, so math on Monday, reading on Tuesday, and so on, covering one subject per day, Monday through Friday. At the time, this helped us stay focused and reduce the chaos of juggling multiple subjects across 3 children. While our schedule looks different now, this single subject per day model was a great fit during our more flexible homeschooling phase. All right, activities of daily living, or ADLs. Now that we've talked about customizing homeschool to your child's needs, I want to take a moment to highlight something that's often overlooked: life skills, especially activities of daily living, or ADLs. In special needs homeschooling, academics aren't always the only or even most important part of the day. For many of our kids, learning how to care for themselves is just as valuable as learning math or reading. ADLs are the basic self-care tasks that all of us do each day. Things like bathing, dressing, eating, and using the restroom independently. These might seem simple, but for a lot of our children, mastering even one of these skills takes time, patience, and consistent teaching. That's why they're such a meaningful part of our homeschool routine. We work these skills into our day just like any other subject. Sometimes that means step-by-step visual charts, modeling, or turning a task into a routine that builds confidence over time. And then there are instrumental activities of daily living, or IADLs, things like meal prep, handling money, and learning how to safely navigate public spaces. These are the next steps towards independence, and they're often supported through occupational therapy and real life practice at home. So even if your homeschool doesn't look like a traditional classroom, if you are helping your child to learn to care for themselves and build independence, you are absolutely doing meaningful educational work. All right, so ADLs in homeschool. So for many children, activities of daily living, or ADLs, like brushing teeth, getting dressed, or managing routines, are just as important as academic subjects. These are essential skills they'll use in every single day, and mastering them can be a huge step towards greater independence. As special needs parents or caregivers, many of us are already teaching these skills without even realizing it's school. But in a homeschool setting, we have the freedom to treat life skills as a central part of the curriculum. Homeschooling allows us to adapt the day around our child's real life needs, not just grade level standards. That flexibility means we can move at their pace, repeat as often as needed, and celebrate every small win along the way. Here are a few examples of key ADLs we work on regularly. So bathing or showering, maintaining your personal hygiene, getting dressed, choosing and putting on appropriate clothing, toileting, using the restroom independently and managing continence, eating, feeding oneself. Now, these tasks may seem basic, but for our kids, learning them can be challenging and incredibly empowering. And when we build them into our homeschool day, we're helping our children grow into more confident, capable individuals in every part of life. All right, visual ADL chart, brushing teeth. This is something I created. You can always adapt it or create your own if you want to. This is page 1 of my step-by-step visual chart for brushing teeth. It breaks the task down into small, manageable steps to support independence and reduce anxiety. Now, visuals can help reinforce memory, support sequencing skills, and provide a clear guide that kids can follow without needing reminders. And we use this daily, and it is posted up on our bathroom mirror, y'all. And we use it daily to help build consistency, confidence, and routine around personal hygiene. All right, visual ADL chart, getting dressed. So this is one of our visual charts for getting dressed, and it's designed to guide my girls through each step of the process in a calm and structured way. It helps reduce overwhelm by turning a multi-step task into simple visual cues that are easy to follow. I keep this chart hanging on their closet doors for easy visual access, so it's right where they need it during their morning routine. The chart supports independence, improves task sequencing, and lowers frustration during transitions, especially on busy mornings. All right, sensory tools in homeschool. Sensory tools play an important role in our homeschool day by supporting focus, emotional regulation, and comfort, especially during transitions, seated work, and challenging moments. Every child's sensory needs are different. Now, up next are the tools that work well for our family, and we use them throughout the day to create a calm and supporting learning environment. Now, by recognizing and responding to sensory needs, we make learning more accessible and help our kids feel safer, more in control, and more confident in their homeschool experience. Compression sleeves. You know us, you've seen us with those. They're so much fun and come in all different colors. Compression sleeves provide gentle, consistent pressure to the arms or legs, which can have a calming effect on the nervous system. And we use them to support focus, reduce anxiety, and improve body awareness, especially during schoolwork or transitions. They're very discreet, easy to wear throughout the day, and can help with sensory regulation without distracting from learning. These are especially helpful for my kids when they're feeling overstimulated or dysregulated. All right, my daughter's favorite, the Chewy necklace. The necklace is one of our go-to sensory tools for supporting oral sensory needs. It's designed to be safely chewed, which can help reduce behaviors like chewing on clothing, pencils, in our case, fingers. This tool can provide calming input, support self-regulation, and it helps my daughter to stay focused, especially during reading or seated tasks. And she wears it around her neck for easy access and can use it throughout the day as needed. And there are so many styles available online, y'all. Some of them are made from softer materials, while others are extra tough for stronger chewing needs. In our case, we have extra, extra, extra tough. All right, fidget kickband. A simple tool attaches to the bottom of a chair and it gives kids a safe, quiet way to fidget with their feet while being seated. It's especially helpful for kids who need to move in order to focus, like those with ADHD or sensory processing differences. Now, this kickband allows movement without disrupting lessons, and it can help improve concentration, reduce restlessness, and keep hands free for learning. So we use it during table work or anytime seated focus is needed. All right, customizing to your family's needs. One of the biggest advantages of homeschooling is customization, truly. You can truly teach your kids the way they learn best. In our house, that means visual supports, movement breaks, sometimes working from the couch or even the floor. We use fidgets, timers, music, and whatever tools help my kids focus and feel safe. So don't be afraid to adjust the pace. Sometimes we move fast through a topic. Other times we spend a whole month on one concept. There's no rule that says you have to rush. I've also learned to teach multiple subjects through my kids' interests. If one of the kids is loving dinosaurs currently, great. We'll cover science, reading, math, and even writing with that one topic. And when possible, I like to combine lessons across kids, like shared story time or art, so I'm not stretched so thin. All right. Be informed to get the right information. Now there is a QR code on this slide that you can scan, and it will take you directly to a document that I've created with links to autism-specific resources and helpful tools for parents and caregivers of those with autistic children. When you're homeschooling a child with a special healthcare need or disability, it's essential to have accurate, up-to-date information about their diagnosis. The resources you rely on will shape how you support your child or children, how you interpret their behaviors, and how you advocate for them. Just like we choose a curriculum that fits our child's learning style, we also need to be intentional about where we get information related to their neurotype or disability. For example, in the autism community, some traditional resources may not reflect the most current understanding of autism or include the perspective of autistic individuals. Instead, seek out resources created by autistic individuals and neurodiversity affirming organizations like the Autistic Self Advocacy Network, ASAN, or Neuroclastic. These sources offer empowering, inclusive insights grounded in lived experience. And when we listen to people who share our child's perspective, we become better informed, more compassionate advocates. Resources and support. You do not need to spend a fortune to homeschool. Some of my favorite resources are free or very low cost. For example, K-12, that's the public online virtual school, and then Khan Academy, education.com, and printable worksheets from Pinterest, Teachers Pay Teachers, or mathgirls.com. Support groups have also been a game changer for me. Facebook groups for special needs homeschooling, neurodiverse learners, or even diagnosis specific communities have given me ideas, encouragement, and peers who get it. Now, therapies are still a huge part of our learning plan. We build them into our day, and if a day is really tough, y'all, therapy counts as learning. All right, now waiver services. So OCDD or waiver services can absolutely support homeschoolers. Depending on what waiver you qualify for, you might be eligible for help with in-home support staff or personal care attendants, respite care, medical equipment or assistive technology, behavioral services, and transportation. If you already receive waiver services, talk to your case manager about how homeschooling might affect your plan. It usually doesn't change much or if anything at all. But if you haven't applied yet, please keep in mind that Louisiana currently requires a valid, up-to-date IEP from a Louisiana public school to determine eligibility. So I strongly encourage you to look into it. Waiver services can be truly life-changing support for families like ours. All right. More resources and support. And this slide also includes a QR code. You can scan it with your phone or device. It will take you to a resource page I have created with direct links to support groups, homeschooling websites, and helpful tools for your journey. You'll find Facebook communities, curriculum ideas, and other practical resources that can make homeschooling feel more manageable and less overwhelming. So go ahead and feel free to scan the code now or save it for later so you can explore the links when it's convenient for you. All right, do's and don'ts. There are a few things I wish someone had told me early on. First, trust your gut. You know your child better than any curriculum, program, or online advice ever will. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Take breaks when you need them for your kids and for you. Burnout is so real, y'all. And some days, rest is more important than reading. Please don't compare your homeschool to someone else's. Your family has its own rhythm. Your child has their own needs. What works for someone else may not work for you, and that is okay. And finally, don't panic about gaps. Gaps happen in every kind of schooling. You'll revisit things when your child is ready. The goal is growth, not perfection. All right, encouragement and real talk. So let's be real. Homeschooling special needs kids isn't always Pinterest perfect. Some days are messy, and some weeks feel like nothing got done. But progress is still happening. It just might not look like workbook pages or perfect handwriting, but it's in the moments where your child doesn't melt down or tries something they used to avoid or even smiles while learning. Please give yourself grace. You're juggling more than most people realize. And just by showing up and trying, you're already doing more than enough. You're not alone in this. There is a whole community of us walking the same road, and we are cheering you on. All right. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you to give us a like and follow us on Facebook and check out our YouTube channel where you can find recordings of past webinars and other helpful content. Now, this webinar is being recorded as well and will be available for you to revisit anytime on our YouTube channel. You'll also receive a follow-up email that includes a copy of today's PowerPoint presentation, as well as your certificate of completion for today's webinar. This slide also includes our full contact info, our phone number, email, address, and website are all listed here. If you have any questions about today's webinar or want to learn more about the services and support we can offer y'all, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are here to help. Now, I would love to hear y'all's questions, whether it's about resources, routines, or how to handle rough days. Feel free to type your questions in the chat or click on the raise hand button if you'd like to speak. Now, if you'd like more resources or information about homeschooling in Louisiana, feel free to email me at hannah@fhfregion7.com, and I'd be happy to share some helpful tools with y'all. Now, real quick, for answer some questions, after the webinar ends, a short survey is going to pop up. Please take a moment to complete it because it really helps us improve future sessions and better serve families like yours. So, Chanel, do we have any questions popping up?
Hannah, they did want you to repeat your email address, please.
Sure, absolutely. So it's going to be Hannah, HANNAH, @fhfregion7.com.
And that's the only question I see in the chat right now. So if anyone has a question, please feel free to put it in the chat, or you can raise your hand and I will unmute you and allow you to speak. Great job, Hannah. Great presentation. A lot of good information. I do have one hand raised, so I'm going to go ahead and unmute her. And get her to speak. Catherine, are you able? Okay.
Well, it's not Catherine, it's Catherine's husband, a son, and a daughter-in-law.
Okay, well, hey.
I just want to chime in. I probably have a lot of questions, but I'll review this entire thing, and the questions will probably come up. It's a lot to digest. That's why I don't have any specific questions now, but we appreciate the seminar.
Oh,
you're so welcome. Yes, you're so welcome. I know it is a ton of information packed all into one, which is why Chanel will be emailing everybody a copy of this PowerPoint. So again, don't worry if you missed something or didn't quite snap a QR code. This whole thing is being recorded. It'll be posted up on our YouTube, and you guys will absolutely get a copy of the presentation. And as always, like I said before, y'all can feel free to call us or give me an email, and I'd be more than happy to, help anybody walk through the process.
Okay, Evelyn wants you to talk about the waivers again.
Okay. All right. So do you have a specific question about waivers? I will say that first before I continue.
She says, do I need to have my child have a diagnostic exam with the public school system?
So I would say yes, it will always never hurt to do that, especially if they're already in public school. 100% request an IEP evaluation because that is going to be your tool, and that is going to be your basically key. Essentially, that document will be your key to unlock these services, these waiver services. That is something I will, say till I'm blue in the face. Always, 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 especially if you're in public school, go ahead and have them evaluate the children. As always, go through the process, and we have an education specialist here who can assist you guys with any questions as far as, how to go through that public school IEP process. So any questions about that, absolutely let us know, and we'll get back to you with that.
All right. And then Brittany says what that gentleman said, great presentation. Thank you all for the information and being so supportive. You're more than welcome, Brittany.
Yes, you're so welcome. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. I know, like I said, it's a whole bunch of information, but again, don't panic. We are going to send you guys the PowerPoint, okay? And thank y'all so much for spending this time with me. I know your time is stretched thin, and I really hope y'all walk away from this feeling more empowered, more supported, and a little more hopeful. And as always, we are here to support y'all. Give us a call, give us an email. We are here for you guys.
All right. And I don't see any questions, Hannah. Everyone is just saying great information. Thank you so much. Very informative. We needed this, but I don't see any questions. So I think you covered everything. And like Hannah said, we're going to send everything out so you guys can refer to it later and digest it bit by bit.
Yes.
But if you have any questions, don't be afraid to reach out. That's what we're here for. It's who we are. It's what we do. Okay, and so with that being said, we're going to go ahead and end this webinar, and we hope to hear from you guys soon. Thank you.
Thank you all.